Sometimes indies gotta do what Nintendo don't. And this generation, Nintendo has returned a lot of long-time beloved cult classic series that we kind of never thought that we would ever see again. They've brought them back. They've done remakes and, you know, surprise sequels. But one series has not gotten a lot of love this generation, and it's Chibi-Robo. The last game hit the 3DS. It was Chibi-Robo Ziplash, and it's, you know, it was one of those games, one of the very weirdly many games from that period in history that were hitting Nintendo systems that were like weird sequels to series, but they were different from their original series, so that kind of just made everyone mad. It was a weird time. And apart from that, we really haven't gotten a lot of Chibi-Robo stuff. You wouldn't even think it was much of a Nintendo thing based on how Nintendo, I don't know, treats it. It really doesn't come up much. And I'm actually having a hard time seeing if it is owned outright by Nintendo. And this could be part of the problem. Apparently, it's at least partially owned by Bandai Namco. And the developers of the original game were later bought by Bandai Namco, or they like merged with it or something. I'm not getting a straight answer anywhere, and I don't know if that's like part of the problem or what. I don't actually know who outright owns Chibi-Robo. And obviously there's the issue that it's never really sold well. Ziplash obviously didn't sell very well. So whatever the case, Nintendo's really just not doing it. Whether it's Nintendo's thing to do or not, it's not happening. And because it is not happening, the core creative team that made the original have taken it upon themselves to do what Nintendo don't, as we established. They just launched a Kickstarter campaign for their brand new take, their spiritual successor to the original. It is called KoROBO. It's a cute name. The whole thing is about a little robot who wants to help. So I wonder if that's KoROBO. Is that like collaborate? Is that kind of a play on that? Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, they launched the campaign. There are screenshots, and there's even some like pre-alpha prototype footage in the video here. And yeah, it basically, I should have said at the beginning, I'm not super familiar with Chibi-Robo. I did not play Chibi-Robo. I played like the demo of the first 3DS one, the one that wasn't Ziplash, that apparently was kind of like the original, but not quite, so it still wasn't quite the same thing. I don't know, yeah. So I don't really know much about it. I know you got a little robot who runs around helping people or doing stuff in a cute little house. Definitely, I mean, seems like it's up my alley, so I definitely should try these games out. But yeah, you got a little stuff here, the little footage. They've got a really nice campaign. It explains the game. It explains who they are and where they come from and why they want to do this. And it's cool. They really want to make another Chibi-Robo. Clearly, this is something that they have wanted to do for a long time, but they just couldn't. There was just no opportunity for it. There was no money for it. There was no interest in it. And they don't own the IP, so they just couldn't do it. And eventually they got fed up with not doing it and said, let's do it. And it's going pretty well. I have no doubt that they'll meet their goal. Their goal is very conservative. Only approximately $127,000 on Kickstarter. I know that there's two campaigns. There's one in English, and then there's one on a different platform specifically for Japanese audience. So, between the two, it'll be a little bit more. Still seems pretty conservative though. So I don't know if it's one of those things where they're asking low to try to get it met, hoping that they hit some stretch goals, because, game development, it's very, very expensive. But it seems to be going all right so far. It just launched today, and it's at $44,000, so they're already like a third of the way there. So they'll probably do okay. And this overall is a really cool thing, and I wish them great luck, and I really, really genuinely hope that this ends up being a new Chibi-Robo game, and people are totally satisfied by it, and maybe that will happen. I'm a little bit worried about it though. I'm slightly concerned. The footage looks pretty good. It's pretty good. It's certainly not bad. It's a little bit rough, animations and whatnot, a little bit stilted, I guess, but pretty good overall. And I understand that this is very, very early. I get that, and it even says on their little release calendar thingy, sorry, their project roadmap. You know, right now they're launching the campaign, and then they have prototype build for Q1 2025. So that suggests that this is like, it's probably just a little like proof of concept. It's not even the full game. They might not even get to making the full game until they have money to do so. I'm really not sure. Yeah, and then Q3 2025 is the beta, so I guess they hope to build the prototype in only half a year. That is pretty ambitious. But yeah, looks pretty good, if a little bit rough, as you would expect. You really can't judge it based on this. This was created just as a way for us to kind of see what they're going for, and there's a lot of other like art and stuff, and you can see that it's in good hands, and these artists do seem to know what they're doing. A bigger concern, which is not necessarily a fair concern to kind of aim at this project, it's just the whole spiritual successor from the original creators thing. Boy, that's got a spotty track record, doesn't it? Ever since Kickstarter became a thing, what was like the first big, humongous Kickstarter success of the spiritual successor? It was Mighty Number 9, and you saw how that turned out. And it's not fair to take that and apply that to every future project. The problem is that, boy, it just keeps happening. And I hate it when people do that. I hate it when people say, yeah, but this didn't work out. That doesn't mean the next thing won't work out with completely different people. That was my thinking before, but now, like, every single time it happens, it just gets harder and harder to look at one of these and be hopeful about it. You know what I mean? Very early in the history of my channel, I experienced this for myself. There's a Kickstarter for a new game by the people who made The Neverhood, which is an old PC game. I was completely obsessed with it as a kid. It was my favorite thing in the entire world, and all these years later, they finally, you know, they don't own the IP, EA owns the IP, so it's a spiritual successor. It's its own kind of thing, and it was awful. It was really bad. It was like, there were elements of it that were cool, but like as a game, it ended up not being very good at all, and that hurt personally. And I think ever since then, it's been even more difficult to see this kind of thing and feel hopeful. Again, though, that's not to say I don't think it'll work. They're probably good at what they do. I do wish them the best. Just a little bit wary. I guess I'm cautiously optimistic. It's hard to make a game. And it's hard to make a game on a much smaller budget. And it's good because nowadays it's easier to make games than ever. Smaller teams can make bigger games just thanks to advancements in development tools. But it's still really hard. It's still really hard, especially like a 3D game. It's really hard to make something like that and have it be polished and free of bugs, you know? It's a very difficult thing. They've really got their work cut out for them. And one more, I'm really sorry, one more slight criticism. It feels petty to say it, especially this early in the process, but maybe it's not petty because the main character of a game is really important visually, and this little robot they have here is not really doing it for me. I don't like how similar it looks to Chibi-Robo? Is that the name of the character, or is that just the name of the game? I don't know. The character from Chibi-Robo. It's too similar. With the flat head, I don't think that's a good idea, because all that's gonna do is emphasize the differences between them and any shortcomings in this version. I think they should have gone with something else. It's a little bit plain. It's not bad. I do love cute little robot guys. I am a fan overall. This version, just when held up against the original character, is just kind of a little more plain. Kind of looks like it looks like a character from like the Xbox era. I could see, you know what I mean? I could see this character on like a magazine page for an Xbox game, or like as a little like developer mascot, not necessarily the character of a game, just kind of like a little character they just kind of use for like marketing materials with the power button on the belly. I don't know. It's just not very colorful or unique, and I'm a little bit worried about that. And it's possible that this isn't the final version of it, but that doesn't seem super likely because they already have like the logo, and I kind of feel like the character design is something that happens pretty early on in the process. You know, your initial stages, you're just sketching designs and stuff. Maybe the fact that this character looks like an early 2000s mascot, maybe that's the point. Maybe that's the charm that I'm missing, because I love early 2000s nostalgia. That period of gaming was incredible. Maybe I need to look at this from a new perspective. Maybe they did that on purpose. They want it to kind of have the feel of a GameCube game. They don't want it to just be a modern Chibi-Robo kind of game. Maybe they want it to have that GameCube-y kind of feel. Maybe that's it. Maybe I'll come around to it. I still don't think the similarity was smart. But again, let's just wait and see what happens. If all goes according to plan, if development goes smoothly, we'll have this game in our hands in a couple years. That's another thing that makes me... Has there ever been a project funded on Kickstarter that came in on time, that didn't just take like twice as long at least? I don't know. But again, I gotta stop, sorry. I do not like to look at past issues and assume that those issues will happen again in the future. So let's end this video. Let's set all of the slight worry and slight skepticism aside and say, look at that. The original team behind Chibi-Robo are doing their own essentially new Chibi-Robo game, their own spiritual successor. And that is super duper cool. That is very, very, very cool. I wish them the absolute best. I wish them the greatest of luck in this endeavor. I hope that they meet all their goals. I hope they smash all their goals and they got plenty of money to make the game that they want to make. Because anytime anyone wants to do what Nintendo don't, I will support them. I will support you.